Greetings, my Swaligans. It's Nigel Emmanuel Wigley, initials new, from ECE, Empire Culture Empowerment, the voice for the people. This is ECE R.U.L.E. What R.U.L.E stands for Righteousness, Unity, and Love Empowerment. That's the movement. And we're trying to empower the people and the youth of today and tomorrow, for today and tomorrow. So what we talking about today? We talking about G.E.B.E. You know the saying, G.E.B.E off and the people pissed off. What to do? Vote ECE and vote new. As y'all know, since a year ago, me and my family and the ECE members have been talking about G.E.B.E, even protesting as long as 3 weeks in a row in front of G.E.B.E about what's gonna happen and what's been happening and what was going on at that moment. Now we already know that everybody going through a load shedding problem, so let's see what the update is. We also had a petition for G.E.B.E, but the reason why we wasn't pursuing it like crazy right after election, although we already had some documents and stuff to get it done. Let me see if I can find the documents. Right? Already, although we had some documents to carry in to see what's going on, we said, you know what? It's just after election. The people voted for the 2x4. So let me give them some a chance to do what they gotta do, because everybody was campaigning about G.E.B.E, so I said let me give them a chance. Right after election, I wanted to say something, but people told me, give them a chance, man. The new ministers, the new parliamentarians ain't get sworn in yet. That's February 10th, so I say alright, I'll wait. But out of the 4 parties that formed the 2x4, we already had ministers in there from the 3 parties, right? Which was PFP, the No Party, and DP. We already had ministers in there from those parties that got re-elected. So I was like, we could start this right now, because G.E.B.E is a serious issue, but people was like, wait till February 10th. So I waited till February 10th. Didn't really see nothing going on. I waited a week after, didn't see nothing going on. Then we'll say, give them some chance, man. Wait at least another month. So I waited another month. Nothing was going on, right? Nothing about G.E.B.E, and I already know this problem gonna get worse. So I was still attending the parliamentary meetings and whatnot to see what's the plan, but I never really heard nothing much. And when they finally had the former prime minister come in concerning G.E.B.E, I got arrested coincidentally, right? And I missed that meeting, but I followed up on the tape, took some notes, but all of that kind of not really irrelevant, but now we have a bigger issue. So finally the government formed a few months later. I said let's start talking about it, especially since the load shedding and whatnot. So there was a press briefing recently that I want to speak about, and this was from the Minister of Rome and Deputy Prime Minister Janssen Veronica Webster. She claims that there's been a problem since May 5th with engine 19. So engine 19 wasn't working. I think that problem was probably about the crankshaft, right? Because I watched the press briefing. She said something was wrong with the crankshaft and they need to come in and look at it. But if the crankshaft couldn't get fixed, a new generator, a new engine would cost about 14 million to 18 million, and that would take 2 years to come in, which I think is absurd. Why? Because if I got a car and I need to change my transmission and I go to one mechanic and that mechanic says, look, I have to order the parts because the parts in on St. Martin. So I gonna order this transmission. They're gonna take about 2 years to come. I gonna be like, nah, I need my car. I can't take that long, and I got the money right now. So I would just go to another mechanic if he keep telling me it's gonna take 2 years to get this done. So my point is, same with G.E.B.E. It's gonna take 2 years to get a new engine. Just go to a new manufacturer. Let's solve this problem. So that's one way we could solve the problem instead of waiting 2 years to get a new generator. Let's just go to a new manufacturer. We could shop around. I was telling people this while I was on the loudspeaker. Some people call it blowhorn, all type of stuff, right? Going through the neighborhoods. I made this joke and say, yo, we could find anything on Amazon these days. You might even find a generator on Amazon, so it shouldn't be a big problem, but hey, that's what it is. Sunday morning was, I think, June 2nd. There was a fire around 6:30, and it said that the auxiliary boiler of engine 9 caused additional outages, making 8 and 9 unoperational, meaning they ain't working no more, right? And we already got a problem with engine 19. So that's a total of 3 engines that's not working anymore. And it caused a blackout island-wide. This video gonna be cut in 2, so we're gonna continue with part 2 right after. So when you see part 2, it's gonna come in little pieces, so I could share it on WhatsApp, right? So now we're in the part 2 section of the video, right? Because it's cut in 2. They had a total blackout on Sunday, right? We still talking about G.E.B.E. They had a total blackout on Sunday, which was 2 days ago, concerning G.E.B.E. June 9th. And we lost about 15 megawatts of electricity. Megawatts is basically a million, right? 15 million watts of electricity. I'm just giving y'all the update. And it got restarted about 9 o'clock because I was on the road during that time in Ebenezer, right? Talking to the people, letting them know what's going on. ECE R.U.L.E movement, campaigning, all that good stuff, right? Being a voice for the people. And it restarted back off a small generator. Current came back off a small generator operating under 1 megawatt, right? So I think after, it said the 7 engines was working at 57 megawatt peak capacity. And that's not enough for the whole island, right? So what she also mentioned in that press briefing is that the former government, right, prior to this new government, was giving out a lot of building permits without informing G.E.B.E. So they wasn't able to hold the capacity of the new buildings that came up. Actually, there was a lot of new buildings that was built in G.E.B.E, across the island in Cold Bay, that's already operational. So that could be some of the issue. But while I was protesting last year concerning G.E.B.E, I mentioned that it's outdated equipment at G.E.B.E. These equipment probably been there before I was born. And back then it didn't have that much people in St. Martin, but now we got a lot of people in St. Martin, a lot more than it was back then. Children made children. I got little cousins, little brothers that got children. So obviously there's a lot more current that gonna be used. So this is a problem of maintenance. So basically the government, the past governments we had, didn't care about looking into G.E.B.E, although they was brought in for management, because we know VROMI and General Affairs is over G.E.B.E, so none of these people cared about G.E.B.E back then in order to do an inspection to say that, you know what, these machines and generators might not be able to hold a load capacity. So imagine you have a building, right, with an AC that only powering one floor, and then you put on 2, 3, 4 more floors on top of that building with the same AC, and you turn that AC up some more. Matter of fact, you tweak it a little bit so it could be able to cool the whole building as was one floor but now 4 floors. Obviously, that could overheat, cause a fire, create a problem, overload. You know, it could go kapot, as we say in Netherlands. Toch? So why would you not upgrade? Secondly, why would you not upgrade the system? What's going on with the tech department? I got a phone here, right? I know some other people that got iPhone. If they lose their phone get hacked, mash up. They could store their storage on iCloud, and now they could retrieve their storage. But we, right, our government, who's over G.E.B.E, who has shares in G.E.B.E, who's running G.E.B.E, right, did not back up the system. So when they got attacked by ransomware, right, you couldn't retrieve the system, so that created a billing problem. So you telling me you couldn't back up the system as well, back up all the data? So what really going on here? The equipment updated, the technology updated, and you know, I ain't getting at the management, but I hear there was a lot of management change up to, I can't give you the exact number, but a lot of different management change from a post the other day. Over the past few years, over the past decade, over the past governments, a lot of management changes. So what's really going on? So out of all these new different managers and directors, right, including the deputy prime minister, acting minister of ROMI, and minister of VSR, Janssen Webster. None of us couldn't think of backing up the data just in case we get hacked or ransomware. You know, something very fishy. So these are questions you need to ask yourself. Anyways, let's go back to what we're talking about. So because we're only operating under 7 engines, right, load shedding will be necessary. I bet a lot of people right now probably thinking like, boy, ECE was out there even before election, protesting about this very problem that's about to take place, right? And we did not give our full support. But a lot of y'all signed the petition, right? But if we really, during the elections, right, you notice that a lot of people was campaigning for G.E.B.E. Even during the debate, I told y'all that when elections over, they gonna turn their back. They will turn their back concerning G.E.B.E. and not give it the full attention needed. And now this is going on. So hopefully this election, y'all do the right thing and elect righteous people that's gonna do the right thing, right? Vote new. Vote for something new and prosperous. You know, we're gonna bring new technology to the table, new ideas. I know there's nothing really new under the sun, but they backwards, they outdated. You know, a lot of things. I used to live overseas, man. We way behind. We way behind, right? So vote new instead of voting for the old and failing. Cause why keep reshuffling politicians? You know, some politicians jumping from parties to parties, making their own parties. Some jumping ship, some switching sides, some taking bribe. They regardless, they ain't doing what they're supposed to do. So why not Why not vote somebody new? Anyways, the minister said, I think it was yesterday, right? There was gonna be a meeting around 5:30 with the Dutch representational from the regional platform of crisis Amenwelkin in town. And this was an emergency meeting concerning what's going on with G.E.B.E for immediate solutions. Now, if I didn't pronounce that name right, is because I couldn't really understand how she was the minister of Romy, the acting minister of Romy, how she pronounced that word. I couldn't understand it. So, from what I know, is crisis Amen Wedkin. Regardless, is some Dutch representation for this type of problems, and it was an emergency meeting to find solutions. And one of the solutions is that they're going to send generators, and it's going to be transported by military, right? And they was going to initiate it now. And where they going to get these generators was from Curacao and Aruba. So Curacao and Aruba was going to borrow us generators for now, according to the minister, right? And it would be transported by the Dutch military, the Coast Guard, right? But she said military, and they was going to start that process yesterday. So hopefully it could be here today. I don't know if it's here today, but we still about to find out. And load shedding gonna continue until maybe these machines get set up every day, at least 2 hours a day. Today, current was off 2 hours island wide, all over the south side, right? And every day they're gonna give updates. So now if we're waiting on a new generator, right, that's gonna take about 2 years to come in. That means this load shedding could continue for 2 years. Unless those new generators they brought from Aruba and Curacao going to do the job. But we don't know. Time will tell. And other solutions they had concerning our current problems is that this was before I think G.E.B.E got burnt down. Don't get me wrong, I could be wrong. The minister of Romy, who's over G.E.B.E, said that temporarily they're going to have the mechanics and the maintenance team working round the clock, right? So that they could get this problem temporarily fixed. And then for the mid, because this is the immediate fix, and then we talk about midterm fix. They're going to have these new generators come in, which could take 2 years, or maybe they're going to work with the Curacao Aruba generators. I know if they want the generators back or not. Who knows? That could solve the problem for now, but long term, they're going to look for alternative renewable energy ideas. Could be solar, could be wind, those fans, those turbine energy, the wind energy, right? It could be any one of those. Maybe they could find some way to get energy from the ground. One of our solutions is maybe Point Blanche, always windy, always windy, always windy. I'm telling you, right? You could set up those wind machines, turbine machines. I don't know what y'all really call them. We could say fans for people that don't know, that's gonna spin and generate energy because it's always windy. And we could make them in a way that when it's hurricane, they could just fall flat or be removed. That's one of the solutions. We don't just have to run to solar. Solar is okay, but that's another issue to begin with because it's real expensive, right? And the way they make the solar panels, right, I heard isn't that good. The material comes from Africa. I did a little research, and you know how the mining industry is in Africa. It's another slavery going on there. So um, me personally wouldn't really like to support it as well, but they said the phones is made from that same type of slavery that's going on in Africa, like Congo, right? Where they mining for what's it called? Where they mining for those Teslas and the iPhones. The material they take for the Tesla batteries, for the Tesla cars to run, and the iPhone, they mine it in the DRC and other places in Africa. And some of those people are being forced, which is slavery, are working for real cheap, just for us in the West to live all right, and in Europe, and I can't support that. So one of the alternatives would be those wind energy, and have some way to store it, right? And generators as well, gas, fuel. The gas ain't gonna run out, although they call it fossil fuel. It ain't no fossil fuel. It's oil or gas that's coming directly from the earth, that's not gonna run out. That's flowing like water. So there's alternative. Um, there's different ways we could create energy for ourselves, right? Another thing they should do is do a financial and operational audit, so we could really find out what's going on, right? Financially and operational wise concerning G.E.B.E, so we could see if, hey, was this really a hack or some insurance scheme, some type of bank fraud, some way to move money without getting it taxed or audited. We should do a audit for that, and an operational audit to see, okay, did the past ideas or the past way they used to operate in G.E.B.E, was that working? Was the conduct right? Was the maintenance right? Was the operations right? The way they were treating their employees, maybe the employees didn't want to work a certain way because it wasn't getting paid right. Maybe they thought their time wasn't valued right for them to put in the good work. What was the problem? So these are little things that we would want to find out in order to move forward. And also they fixed the G.E.B.E buildings in town, but they ain't really focus on what was going on with the generators. So you focus on where we paying the money, but you don't focus on fixing the service that we need in order for us to pay you the money. That's a little backwards. You should focus more on fixing the generators than fixing the building. Maybe the people that are working in the building might disagree. Maybe they didn't like the workspace, the environment. But what's more important, the building or the generators? The generators is more important. So let's fix the generators. That's what we should have focused on. But instead, the two buildings was fixed, including the parking lot first. Now we got a problem with generators. And lastly, that fire that went on in G.E.B.E, the power generation of generators, right? The power plant. There's a, what's it called? What I call it again? There's a gas station, where they supply all the gas, right? I forgot the name of it, man. Everything ain't coming with me right now. But anyways, I think salt. Yeah, there's a salt where they get all the gas and transfer it to all the different gas stations on the island. There's a salt plant there. Let's call it a salt plant. Not a factory, because they don't make gas. They get the gas, they put it there, and boom. So if that fire had went over to this salt plant, right, salt station where they hold all the gas for all the gas stations on the island. That could have been a big explosion, meaning that a lot of people in G.E.B.E could have been affected. Even it could have even the explosion could have even affected the people in Cold Bay. You understand? No, we would have had no plan and people dead. So this is an issue we really got to check. We really got to avoid this from happening because they have a salt plant there, salt storage. I don't know why you want to call it, factory, whatever. Meaning they have gas there. Gas to distribute to all the gas stations on the south side. Right? So that's a lot of gas. Because you don't see us running out of gas, and we got a lot of cars on the island. That's why we have a lot of traffic. So that's a lot of gas. That would have been a big explosion. I seen an explosion like that personally in Toronto when I used to live in Toronto. I think it was, I can't remember exactly when it was. Could have been before 2010. Definitely. Maybe 2007. Around them times. Right? Where they had a blackout because the plant exploded. We don't want something like that happen. A lot of people could have lost their lives in G.E.B.E. So this is a serious issue. This ain't a joke. We got to take this seriously. Right? Like I said, my solution would be if the generators, the ones that we can't fix, if we got to order them from a manufacturer, right? A company that don't have them available in stock or on deck, as a youth would say, right now, and it take 2 years to get them make and get them put together, as the Minister of R.U.L.E says. Go look somewhere else. I know different places that's selling those type of generators. You know, places that's known for generating electricity and generating countries from their own electricity. Russia got them. You know, Russia was generating electricity for Europe. They supply gas. They build power plants I think they build power plants in Turkey. They're going to start building in Africa. That's just an option. There's different places that make those generators. Right? We don't just have to go one place. There's different places. So why can't we look at different places? Look for different places for this generator. Second, for renewable energy, for different types of energies. Why don't we do the wind turbines, the fans, or whatever y'all want to call it, in Point Blanche? Why don't we do that? Why don't we put them on hills? Right? We a colony under the Netherlands, and they have fans everywhere, right, to create energy. Right? Windmills, you could call them. Right? They got different names for them, but I'm saying all the different names so people know. Wind turbines, right? They have them all over Holland. But yet, we a colony of Holland, under Holland, in the kingdom of Holland. But we don't have that technology here. That looks like some discrimination going on. Why don't they share that technology here with us? Why don't we build some here? Is this a sabotage going on? What's really going on here? So these are stuff that we should think about. I know the other islands, say like Sabre, Statia, they have solar panels, you know. They have ways to conserve energy so electricity don't come off. It's just really St. Martin that's a little behind. They like to say backwards, but we ain't backwards no more. We all the way behind. So these are little things that we should look into. Because for me, I feel like we either being neglected, our government never really cared about this problem. Anybody could have seen this problem coming. If you own a car, your engine could go down by wear and tear. We had these generators over 30 years, they're saying. For me, it could be over 40. You check, but we're going to go according to what they say. They said over 30 years, and nobody ever thought that we might need an upgrade. Come on, now. What we doing? What we really doing? So this is the type of righteous leadership that I said that the people need in governance, that could look over these stuff, people that cares, right? And another thing, G.E.B.E is under R.U.L.E, and they said that they need to seek different finance companies to finance these things. R.U.L.E got a budget. I was at all the budget meetings, even for the budget to get approved. R.U.L.E got a good budget. They got budget for the roads. And we see the money ain't going on the roads, because the roads don't even have paint, right? They collect taxes, road tax, to fix the road. Okay, y'all ain't fixing the road. We clearly see the money ain't going in the road. Ain't going in the road. So, why not use that money that y'all ain't using in the roads to buy new generators? When are you find a different manufacturer? Because we don't feel like waiting 2 years. Why are you don't do that? Unless you're embezzling the money. Maybe the money going somewhere else. And I hear this bankrupt talk, bankrupt talk. Let me show you something. Almost every country on this earth has a debt. America has trillions in debt. They have trillion plus debt, but they still got money rotating. I used to say from before, have a debt of almost $1 billion. I think it's about guilders. I think it's about around 700 billion guilders. So why you saying we broke when money's still flowing? And if are you really broke, why we haven't seen a salary cut for ministers and parliamentarians? Why we haven't seen ministers or parliamentarians, members of parliament, getting laid off? Let's say, right, that the parliamentarians get in 10K a month. I know the ministers make a little more, but let's keep all of them 10K to make this easier. 15 parliament members, that's 15 times 10 is 150, right? K per month, right? We in dollars. And say we got, let's just round off the ministers at 10. I know it's a little, it could be one less, but let's round it off as 10. 10 ministers getting paid at $10,000, American dollars a month. That's 100K. So 100K, right? Plus 150K, right? That comes up to $250,000, American dollars a month we paying. How broke are we if y'all getting paid that? That's not including civil servants, right? That's not included none of these other things, right? How are we broke when we could still maintain y'all paychecks? Because June 14th, the budget will be passed to do a little pay raise and a 1%, 2% indexation. And retroactive payment from since January 1st to the civil servants. And we broke. Come on, we ain't falling for that. Come on. Y'all know the voice for the people here. I'm going to make sure that people know what they need to know. You check? So these are the little things that's my concern. And this is part 1 of the solution series. We talk about G.E.B.E and some of the ideas, like I said, wind turbine, right? Renewable energy alternatives. We could do, different type of energy ideas, right? Solar panels. When we getting all that energy, we find ways to store it, make more affordable generators to the people, work with different nations and buy different generators from them. Russia's an example. They They got more nuclear weapons than anybody in the world put together for a reason, right? Because they know how to create energy, power. They got power plants. They were supplying the whole Europe, most of Europe, with energy and gas, electricity and gas for a reason, right? So we could look different avenues. I showed China with all the billions of people they have, got generators for sale. We could look around. Maybe, NATO, the Netherlands is part of NATO, got problems with these countries, so they don't want to check us. We ain't trying to hear that. We don't have problems with them. If we want to shop around, we should be able to shop around, right? This is discrimination that's going on. Discrimination that's going on to our people. You have the technology in Europe to not have these outages and load shedding and blackouts and fires. You have the technology to have, for us to have sustainable energy, man. You know what I'm saying? Right? And you ain't sharing it with us. I think that's the discrimination. I think that's part of the colonization that's going on. To keep us under, to keep us dependent on you. And our government is playing along with it. That's my honest opinion. I know this video is long, but you could check it out on YouTube. I'll try to cut it up, give y'all an introduction, right? So these are the type of stuff that we need to look into, and I gonna upload this video on YouTube, and I will do a live on top of this tomorrow, so I could have a live feedback on my Facebook. You check, but do the right thing this time, man. Vote new. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. I've been working for y'all, been going to all the parliamentary meetings, staying on top of it. I have a whole new legislation coming, right? Empower righteous people so we could slowly, not even slowly, so we could swiftly come out of these problems, because these problems is easy to solve. They just got to do the right thing. Is these problems we having right now, it just needs somebody with some wisdom to solve them. Somebody who's for the people, that love the people, not somebody who for themselves. Alright, so this would be all for now. Thank you for tuning in, and have a good day, and bless. When the righteous is in power, the people will prosper. The people will be wealthy, they'll be happy. They will rejoice. But when the wicked rule, the people will suffer. They're gonna cry, they're gonna sad, they're gonna be sad, and they will live in poverty. So let's do the right thing, people. Let's do the right thing. That's Proverbs 29:2. And Hosea, I think chapter 2, I can't remember the exact verse, right? Our people are destroyed, our people perish, and our people suffer for lack of knowledge. So let's seek knowledge and information about what is going on. Okay? So have a good night, and bless.